Hey there, it's the Yard Buddha, and I'm out here today in a client's yard, and I'm going to do a complete lawn renovation on this yard. It's been totally infested with creeping bentgrass, weeds, and it has a lot of moss because there's some big trees over there that put a lot of shade on this yard. So my thought process on this is to do it here in the spring. It's the second week in April right now. I'm going to run my SunJoe dethatcher over everything just to kind of fluff it up. And then I'm going to wait until I see the creeping bentgrass. You can see all the brown stuff in there. It hasn't even started turning green yet. So in order for the Roundup or the glyphosate to work, it kind of needs to be actively growing. I'm gonna wait another week or two, make sure that the creeping bentgrass is growing, and then I'm gonna nuke it. And this is where all the mossy area is, back here. So, all right, here is the grass about a week after I power raked the heck out of it. I sprayed it with Roundup, and then I also sprayed a bunch of moss out on it. If you guys did not know, Roundup or glyphosate will not kill moss. So if you do have moss, you gotta spray two different things. But I thinned it out really well before I sprayed it. And then I just sprayed it again here today. Okay, it's the middle of May and it is seeding day. I wanted to get this done a little bit earlier, but we had 50-mile-an-hour winds last week, and you definitely don't want to put seed and peat moss down with that, or you're just going to be doing it all over again. So I just ran over everything again with my SunJoe power rake. If you don't have one of those, I guess you can go rent one, but that thing was only 120 bucks. If you didn't see my review on that, I'll put a link up here in the corner right now, and it worked great. I did water the lawn a few days before just to kind of loosen up the soil, and you can put dirt down if you want to, but this lawn was so level that I really didn't need to level anything out. So I just kind of stirred up the dirt that was already in there. This is definitely the most critical step in your lawn renovation. You just need to get good seed to soil contact. It's definitely the most manual labor part of it too, but this is very, very important to get a good area of dirt down that the seed will actually touch, or else the seed is just not going to germinate. All right, just to show you what I'm going to be working with here today, I have two different types of grass seed and some starter fertilizer. Normally on a cool season grass, I really like to put down Kentucky bluegrass, a really high quality one, and that's what this Bentgrass HDGT Kentucky bluegrass blend is. But she has so much shade back there that the Kentucky bluegrass wouldn't do very well. So I am going to put down this whole bag of Scott's Sun and Shade mix, and you can see that the majority of it is ryegrass and fescue, which will do a lot better in the shade. It does have some Kentucky bluegrass in there, but this stuff will pop up a lot quicker than the Kentucky bluegrass will. So I want to get this going, and back in that shade there, I don't think just straight Kentucky bluegrass is going to happen. So I'm going to put this whole bag down. It says 1,600 square feet for new lawns, and this is just about 1,600 square feet. So I'm going to do that, and then maybe put a couple pounds of this down just around, and the appropriate amount of the starter fertilizer. Put everything in the Scott's Elite spreader. I like to do at least two kind of light passes with everything. Don't dump it down all right away. Kind of get good coverage with a couple light passes. Okay, all of the seed and starter fertilizer has been put down with 2 or 3 light passes. Pretty easy. And now the next and final step in this process, which I think is very important, is covering everything with peat moss. So if you want to retain the moisture and actually have those seeds have a good chance of germinating, you want to cover it with a thin layer of peat moss. So I do have this roller. I guess you could spread it by hand or with buckets or something, but this roller here was maybe 125, 150 bucks. It will save you so much time. So I have maybe like $100 worth of peat moss, and I've already kind of covered this area right here. All I am doing is putting it in my wheelbarrow, loading it into that, and then just going over maybe like once or twice over all the seed. So the next final step, and the most important, will probably be watering. I'll show you that. Okay, everything has been covered with peat moss. If you do have kind of some sunnier areas like this is out in this area, maybe put a little more on than you would, you know, back in the shady area. So maybe do 2 or 3 passes. So I got everything covered. And now, I know I've said everything is very important: watering, the seed preparation, the soil preparation, but the watering is very key. So right now I'm going to water twice a day. It's in the 60s, so I'm going to water maybe at 6 a.m. and then again at maybe noon for about 10 minutes. If it does get up into the 70s or 80s, you probably want to turn that up to 3 times a day. Maybe do it later in the afternoon as well. All right, here's the yard about 3 weeks after I had seeded. Starting to fill in. I did notice the edges weren't filling in very well, and I realized that maybe about a week before I seeded, I had sprayed the edges with Weed Be Gone because they were really infested with weeds. And seed and whatever's in Weed Be Gone, I think it's the 2,4-D, kind of prevented the seed from popping up. So I noticed it about 2 weeks ago when the grass first started really filling in, and I reseeded all the edges again. So that might be a little later in coming, but for now we have got a green yard. All right, here's the lawn a little later in the year after it's had a few mows and it's gotten established. So it's looking nice. Don't really see any moss in here. I am dealing with a few weeds, which is totally normal when you have a total lawn renovation. You have that bare ground for a long time and weeds can kind of get in there. So my go-to weed spray is Ortho Weed Clear. It has 3 different chemicals in it, even deals with crabgrass. So I'm just kind of spot spraying where I need to, but yeah. This will probably be my final update. You don't need to go out and buy sod. That's going to be about 10 times more expensive than this project. This one here probably cost me about $300-400 in material. And if you don't have those tools that I have, those are just a couple $100 more. So it's almost worth your while compared to having to come in here with a sod cutter, take all the previous lawn out and roll new sod down. That would be thousands of dollars. So thanks for watching. We'll see you later.